Welcome to the AskBYS Podcast, a monthly podcast brought to you by Bainbridge Youth Services and its supporting sponsors. AskBYS Podcast connects parents to professionals that can provide support, education, and resources on a particular topic in parenting. The speaker's words and opinions are their own and do not represent the policies or opinions of BYS. I am your host, Jessica Crook, and am here with Milagro Castilleja as our producer. We are recording live at the Media Arts Studio at BARN, the Bainbridge Artisan Resource Network, and we greatly appreciate this incredible space. Today, in honor of May being Mental Health Awareness Month, we have a wonderful Bainbridge Island organization in the studio, West Sound Soccer Academy. This is a soccer association created for female-identifying players and is highly focused on the mental health and overall well-being of their players. As a parent of a West Sound player and a supporter and employee of BYS, I am personally so excited to share this opportunity with our community. Let's start with some introductions. Katie Drovedal.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm the Director of Coaching at West Sound and one of the founders, and I'm also a team coach.
Welcome, Katie. And Allison Spiceland.
Hi, I'm Allison Spiceland. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm the mental skills coach here at West Sound Soccer Academy.
Wonderful. Welcome. And Daphne Jackson.
Hi, I'm Daphne. I'm a high school player at West Sound and an assistant coach.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's jump right in. So why does West Sound Soccer Academy believe sports have the power to change lives and communities, especially for girls?
I think, first of all, we as female athletes felt that firsthand, just the positive impact that sports had on us growing up. We also think that for communities, sports can really be such a positive force, bringing people together. It can create hope and meaning for a community, and it also just encourages people to come together in a really healthy manner. And I think finally, just for West Sound Soccer Academy, we think that when girls are empowered, which we try to do through sports, it can really help change communities for the better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what are some common pressures or challenges that you see among young female athletes today?
I feel like a lot of female athletes today worry about their body changes, especially getting older, how that might impact their strength or their speed. Also, pressures with doing sports that your friends do, too, so having, like, somebody that you know there to not make you feel as stressed. But also things like worrying about your performance or perfectionism I see in a lot of my teammates, feeling like if you don't do something really noticeable in a game, why are you playing or something like that. I see a lot.
Yes.
We also see, we try to talk about this a lot with our players through the winter program that we did. And one thing I know that Allison has shared with me is that when we have conversations around anxiety, those conversations could go on forever. The girls and the players all have a lot to contribute to that. It's something that they feel really deeply and have a lot to share around. And in that, there's a lot of kids who are feeling overscheduled, overwhelmed, exhausted, and so we try to chat with them about that too. But those are definitely some things that we see come up a lot.
Would you say that that's the number one mental health topic that comes up amongst the athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. My experience working with the girls, they talk a lot about anxiety, the pressures, being overscheduled, not having down days, time off. And so when we did anxiety as a topic at the winter program, the conversations I had with the girls it was just amazing how much they wanted to talk about it, how eager they were to talk about it, and how much it really affected them. So, yeah, I feel like that anxiety is a really big issue for the girls that we work with.
And of all ages, too? Did you
all
see
ages,
it across
with the younger girls and with the older girls.
That's
it was,
interesting.
the pressures were different, what they talked about. But, yes, they all, for the most part, had a lot to say about it.
At BYS, anxiety is the number one concern that draws students in. So it's definitely being felt across, across our youth for sure. So what are some signs that a young athlete might be struggling emotionally but not saying anything?
Yeah, so I wanted to answer that in a little bit different way, because that's kind of a hard question, because everybody's really different and young people can be really good at hiding things. So one thing that I like to do when I was working with teenagers as a therapist, and I've also done this working with the soccer girls, is to make sure that I'm checking in with them about what I call the 4 bigs, which is 1, eating and nutrition. 2 is their activity level or exercise. 3 is their screen time. And 4 is their sleep. And so I ask specific questions about each of those categories to kind of dig in and see if there's any problems there. And then often the biggest category that I see come up in that they may not think is a problem is the sleep. So oftentimes I would talk to a student athlete or one of my clients, and I'd say, so how much sleep you're getting? And they're like, oh, enough, It's hard to get up, but it's not a big deal. I'd say, okay, well, what time do you go to bed? I say 10:30. I'm like, okay, well, what time do you actually go to sleep? And eventually we get to it that they're up on their phone until like 12, 1 later sometimes. And most of the teenagers I worked with, they're in high school, and they have to get up at 6. And so just these 4 basic things that were, really lacking and they're struggling with was greatly affecting their mental and emotional health. And just by starting to address those 4 basic things, I could see a lot of change with young people. And I know with the soccer girls, we've addressed sleep hygiene and gone through that with them. So I think really sticking to the basics, talking to your kids, your athletes about these 4 categories would be a good place to start to find out if they are struggling.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Now, you've trained in mindful self-compassion. How can these practices benefit young athletes?
So mindful self-compassion is a training started by Kristen Neff, a researcher, and Christopher Germer. And there's a couple books, one called Mindful Self-Compassion, one called Fierce Self-Compassion. But basically, I've been trained in this. It's a way to help people change how they speak to themselves inside and be more compassionate. And I think that this is especially helpful for athletes who tend to really beat themselves up and have a harsh inner critic. And especially among older athletes, this is kind of accepted as the culture, like you need to push yourself, you need to beat yourself up, like that is the main motivation, kind of like the mindset of the athlete. Whereas the practices through mindful self-compassion come from a place of actually wanting to do better based not on fear of failure or messing up, but because you really believe in yourself. A foundation of, I caution using this word, but a foundation of love, like an acceptance, compassion, and having that kind of motivation driving you as an athlete, you can do anything, right? You can lose and you can still have a good attitude and try again. You could not want to go to practice, but find that inner motivation and show up. So I've been trained in a lot of these meditations and these practices, but really, for me, it's helping athletes to change how they speak to themselves internally and have a kinder, kind of like a friendly but directive coach, not a coach that's screaming at them or swearing at them, but one that's like pushing them, but in a kind way. And I've seen, that change internally when you can really change that voice to be very motivating. So I think it can really help athletes.
I've seen you working with, actually it was with my daughter's group over the summer, and y'all had this, it was beautiful, y'all had this circle, and you were doing a meditation practice with them. And that alone, I thought, this is West Sound Soccer Academy has got it. I mean, this alone is where it's at, and what has been missing for youth sports, and especially to help empower females. And watching you work with them was pretty amazing. And then over the winter program, those positive affirmations that my kid was coming home with, and that's just with the little kids. So I know, that's going on all the way up too. I mean, do y'all do that as well, Daphne? The positive affirmations?
Yeah, definitely. Allison has led us through a lot of that too.
That's awesome. That's key. Can you share a simple mindfulness or self-compassion exercise that parents or coaches could use with their teams or kids?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to share a super simple one that you can all look up on the internet if you want to, have it at home. So it's called a 5 senses mindfulness meditation or mindfulness exercise. But basically, we're going to go through our 5 senses and just become aware and notice what we see and hear. It's a way to kind of bring us to the present and get us out of our heads and calm us down. So let's go ahead and start by taking 2 deep breaths. And then we're going to start by opening our eyes. I want you to look around the space you're in and pick out 5 things that you can see and describe each one to yourself silently in your mind. And once you've picked out your 5 and noticed them, go ahead and close your eyes. Next, I invite you to notice 4 things that you can feel through your physical body. So you could run your hands through your hair. You could take a moment and notice the sensation of the chair or whatever you're sitting on. You could press your feet into the floor. Just take a moment and notice 4 things you can feel right now through your physical body. Next, I invite you to bring your awareness to your sense of hearing. And try to notice 3 distinct sounds in your environment. If you can't hear anything outside, you could even try to turn inside and see if you can hear your stomach rumbling or if you can hear yourself breathing. But try to notice 3 sounds. Next, I invite you to bring your awareness to your sense of smell. This one can be a fun one, but I want you to try to pick out 2 distinct smells. So you can kind of sniff the air, see if you can notice any smell, or you can sniff a piece of clothes. You can pick up a drink. Just sniff something and try to notice 2 distinct smells. And finally, I invite you to bring your awareness to your sense of taste. So take a moment, and if you have something to eat or drink, go ahead and do that. Swish it around in your mouth. If not, just notice what it tastes and feels like in your mouth right now. And that's it. That's the 5 senses meditation. It's as simple as that. It can be stretched out and done really slowly to help somebody relax, or it can be done rather quickly just to kind of bring yourself right down and get ready to focus on whatever's next.
That's awesome. Thank you. What role does team culture play in either supporting or harming an athlete's mental health?
Do you want me to go?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think especially for my team, we're kind of a later add-on to West Sound because we're the older group, and a lot of us, we came from different places, different clubs. So kind of coming together to this like hopeful environment of creating a really welcoming, like supportive place for us to play soccer really kind of lifted everybody's spirits, but also created a really compassionate environment because we all just wanted West Sound to succeed and to be as great as we hoped it would be. But I see a lot of simple things too, like when I was coaching at the winter program, a lot of the teammates just saying short, quick, oh, it's okay, you got it next time, quick little things, and I noticed how that affected their teammates while playing, and that's what I think is the most important. Being on a team is just to make everybody feel welcome and supported.
And we try to talk about that. That was one of our themes for the winter program 1 week. Allison's theme was kind of a more social emotional piece about what does it mean to be a good teammate. And so that was kind of my job is at the end wrapping up, what would a good teammate say? What would a good teammate not say? Sometimes with the players, that's their favorite when I use non-examples. So what did a teammate say this? But it has been so cool to see, the high school assistants are there and they've created this amazing culture, on their team. But there is a flip side of that, especially in youth sports. I mean, so often, team culture is created around winning and around results, which for a lot of players, especially girls, can have the exact opposite impact. In the short term, you might get those results, but the question that we have, and one of the reasons we started West Sound, is at what cost? What damage is that doing to these girls long term? I mean, for some of us who played competitive sports through, college, we always said it just takes one, it just takes one coach, and that can be really positive. It takes one coach to really inspire you, to give you hope, to make you believe in yourself. But the flip side of that is it really, for me, for sure, it takes one coach to really make you question yourself or make you want to quit. And so I think that teammate piece that Daphne talked about is so essential because, the coach is there and tries to create a supportive environment, but it's really the players, it's their team, and they have definitely done it for sure. So it's something we try to focus on because we realize for the players to want to play for West Sound and for the players to want to stay, they have to love it and they have to feel accepted and included, and also celebrated for who they are, as individuals within the context of a team.
Well, it sounds like each team has such a heart, one heart. I know from younger, it sounds like your team being built out of hope and necessity, too. I mean, it's wonderful. So, last question. What's one piece of advice you have for parents who want to support their daughters in sports without unintentionally increasing their pressure?
Well, this is kind of a simple example, but just don't coach your kid while they're playing. It's really happens quite often, but you you're just there to support them and cheer whatever they're doing, or if they're struggling when they're talking about it, just, maybe listen to them, relate to them, just understand them, but don't push them into doing anything or how to play. Just let them talk to you about it.
That's really good advice. and sometimes hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
I would say make sure whatever sport they're doing, that it's bringing them joy, that the kids are really enjoying it, that it's for them, that they want to do it, and that they're having fun.
Absolutely.
Those are both really good. I think that mine, and I am a parent of athletes too, it's not easy, I think the hardest part and the biggest payoff is just not making it about you, letting it be their journey. It's so hard as parents when you see your kids out on that field, especially when they're little. It feels so vulnerable, and it's so tempting, to Daphne's point, to you think you're helping them by telling them throw it to so-and-so, or look, they're open, or shoot, which is the worst thing to scream because they can't hear you anyway. But it's I think we want to create players who are confident, and that confidence comes from knowing that they have it within themselves. And even if they make a mistake, we encourage that, and that lesson comes from the mistake. And so I think parents think they're being helpful, because they see their kids struggling, and that's so hard. But like the growth comes in the struggle, and the payoff for them is so much more valuable if you can just let them have that moment. If you can trust that they are in a supportive team culture, then once they do succeed, that success is theirs, to really be celebrated. And then you get to cheer them on, to Daphne's point.
Right. It's all part of the process, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like y'all really close that loop, too. Yeah. Whenever there are mistakes, I see y'all debriefing after games and still encouraging and just, what if you would have done this? And all that advice could be applied off the field as well, I feel like. I love that, and we'll remember this as I move forward with my little athletes and with the youth that I get to work with. I feel like this advice is important for all to hear. It's applicable to teachers, coaches, and friends and families. So thank y'all so much for being here, and thank y'all so much for all the work that goes into your programming, the encouragement, the leadership. West Sounds Soccer is such an asset to our community, both on and off the field. Thank y'all, all three of y'all, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, anytime. And with that, we leave you with the foundation that healthy youth begins with healthy families, and healthy families build healthy communities.